Okay, it's 7 PM or past, so we're gonna start our public hearing. Aaron, will you read the notice?
Please take notice that an application has been made by Peter Shimshak, 527 Red Apple Drive, La Crescent, Minnesota, 55947, for a conditional use permit to build a dwelling on less than 40 acres in an agricultural district. This is in Mount Prairie Township. Said applicant standing and making application is fee owner of said described lands. A hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Justice Center basement, City of Caledonia, Minnesota, 55921 at 7 p.m. on Thursday, September 29th. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to be heard relative to the granting or denying of said application. And this was advertised on September 14th. So the petitioner is seeking a conditional use permit to build on just under 4 acres. This is 4 acres split off of a 68, approximately 70-acre parcel that's under the ownership of a trust to which the petitioner is a beneficiary. When the trust is ultimately executed, the petitioner will own more than 40 contiguous acres. However, the trust is not this time executed, so the conditional use permit is necessary. The township and the 10 nearest property owners were notified. No comments were received. The site is in the southeast quarter of section 23. There are no dwellings currently in this section. He accesses the site off Bush Valley Road. The parcel has approximately 600 feet of road frontage. Proposed driveway slopes are maxing out at approximately 4.5%, and the building site itself is on an area with a slope of approximately 12%. It's not located within a floodplain, and the proposed soils are well-drained silt loam class 4. Going up on the map here. So if I zoom out here, this is a parcel that's new enough where we don't have it in the parcel layer within pictometry yet. But this is the original 70-acre parcel. Or is it 70 acres or is it 70 plus the?
It's somewhere, it's close to that, yeah.
Right.
And then we have several other parcels around that area.
Yeah. This pictometry also doesn't have section lines and quarter lines, but the section line is approximately here, I believe. Your packet would have contained that information. Yeah, the section line is right to the east of this house, and it actually cuts right here. That black line is the northern boundary of this quarter section line. This driveway would come in off here, off Bush Valley Road. And he's proposing to build on the edge of the cornfield on this grassway. Initially, he was looking at doing this as the trust as the applicant, but subsequently decided to split the property off and have it under his own name. He already has a erosion control plan approved by Soil and Water, and I know he has submitted his septic application. I'm not sure if that is yet approved or in the process of being approved.
I thought it was approved by
It is
them.
approved. Rick does the septic, so I guess I don't know, but I know that it's in hand. You want to add anything to that?
I grew up farming this land with my brothers, and moved back home. I have a child, so it's just going to be a place for my son and I. I already spend 4 days a week going out there to help my father. I help maintain the farm. It was my dream to live out there. My son wants to be out there too. So I would really love to build my house, my final house out there. The reason why I put it just in my name, because I want the house to go to my son, not to the trust. So it just made sense. And, you know, I got 2 other brothers that did the same thing, and I'm just following suit.
When do you plan to start building, or when?
I want to build this year.
Yeah, this year,
So
yeah.
we started this back in May. So finally, we're up to this point. And, you know, since I put it just in my name, it required us to do some additional things like being
Yeah.
here right now.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, I would have been starting to build, but probably a good thing because of all the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to start as soon as you
Okay.
get a permit. We had everybody ready. I talked to the excavators, I talked to the septic guy, the well guys, I mean, and the home builders, so.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Yeah, go ahead.
With regard to the trust, so the trust has the 68.95 acres according to this, and we're splitting out the 3.79
Correct.
out of it. This ends up being the 3.79 and a quarter. I'm led to believe by reading this that the trust at some point ends and you inherit or receive from the
Right,
trust?
right,
Go
yes, I'm a co-trustee, there's 5 brothers and my dad. When my mother passed, that put us all brothers into the trust. And I guess we got close to like 250 acres, so this is only one of our parcels.
Okay. I guess that's what I was getting at.
Right. We're not splitting it up 68 acres by 6 or
By
5
6
people. Right,
then
right,
we're
right.
10 and not 40,
Correct.
as long as the rest of the members of the trust
Right.
are okay with
And they
the
have,
split.
Yes,
That's the only thing I'm saying.
Yes, and you know, we got the signatures of my brothers and my dad. One is just for me to get my parcels, and I did get my parcel, and one is for me to build my house in that spot.
Right.
he's
And-
So
submitted,
eventually, when the trust is done,
Right,
you're gonna end up with 40 or more acres as far as that's concerned.
at least 40, yes.
Hopefully continue with this.
Right.
Right, well, and I mean, my brother Jack, his land will be around his house, my brother Dan, his land will be around his house, my land will be around my house.
all the houses are kind of in this, here's one of them here.
That's Jack,
Others over here.
and there's
My
Dan,
only question was whether or not there was gonna be an issue with the 40 acres,
right.
one house in the 40/40, or the quarter, I guess I should say.
Yeah,
If there was any argument from other members of the trust, but that is not.
Nope,
that's not
we're all
the
in.
they've all signed off on this, and I guess every interested person or beneficiary of the trust signed supporting Peter's application.
I kind of mentioned to them that if they don't sign off on this, I'm not gonna work out here anymore, so. And it's not just me, it's my kid too, I mean, we're both
They
working.
go gray mail.
One last question then for
Yeah.
Aaron. So he gets a CUP because it's on the 3.79, he inherits, or the trust is fulfilled, he gets his 40 acres, the cup then disappears?
It doesn't disappear, but it no longer would be necessary.
It's not
Right.
valid.
We're
He
actually
doesn't
going-
need it.
Going
But he
through-
still would have a separate lot.
Although if he had contiguous property right now, he wouldn't be here either. If you have contiguous property, you have 40 or more acres, we don't evaluate parcel by parcel, it's if you have contiguous parcel, we'll sum them up.
We've talked about that.
But if some point down the road he wanted to sell off 3.7 acres, he would already have a cup and he could do that.
Right. Yeah, since his application, we've had some conversations about whether indeed it was necessary for him to do this, but you can see how we split it off in the first place. He takes a conservative approach to this, he's doing it cautiously, wanting to get the cup.
Okay.
On this map, it shows another building site just to, I'm not sure my directions on this map, but just to the left as you look at that map, there's not a home there? Is that home right on the line? Or is that?
This home right here,
Oh, that's Shevers?
No, underneath with the word Mount Prairie.
Under the word Mount Prairie on our map, but let's see.
Yeah,
It would
yeah,
be,
it looks like the
there,
line
yeah.
touches it, but it's,
It goes right,
if you were gonna put
Past
that
it.
in one of those quarters, it would be in
In
the
the other-
western quarter.
quarter, okay.
that's the old Gleason place,
that's my dad's place.
but it used to be Gleason,
It was
No,
Ed
that's
Albrecht,
huh?
Ed Albrecht.
You know,
He's the one who took us under his wing to teach us how to farm.
Okay,
In fact,
So-
wasn't he a member of the board too? way back then.
Been before my time.
It was back in the 80s.
Where, point it out again.
So
Yeah.
here's where he's building, and here's his.
Yeah, but that was at Albright?
Well, okay, yeah, but there used to be a log cabin there that we tore down. Yes, Ed Albrecht, he had 2 farms. He had one in 21 and
Yeah.
one in Bush Valley. And us kids farmed both of them.
Okay, all right.
That overhead doesn't seem to match up with our map, does it? I mean,
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
ArcGIS, we don't have the technology in place in this room to bring that kind of mapping in here yet, so this is just access through a web browser. So this is a different mapping application than what this is
Oh,
right off of.
yeah.
This has got more detailed pictures, but it has less overlays.
Yeah.
but the shape of the field is different and everything.
No.
These are probably taken in different years too.
But you're marking on that map where the house is going to be built.
Let's see.
Correct.
But that doesn't really correspond to what we got here in front of us.
That does, for me.
Isn't the property circled by the blue here?
Yeah.
Well, look at Mark, where you're gonna build the house?
That's the yellow.
Oh, right there,
Right
I'm
there.
sorry. Okay, very good.
That's right.
Very
I
good.
see. That
Yeah.
one above there is Sheber.
Yeah, okay, very good. All right, I have no further questions. Anybody else?
That was Gleason on the, above there. Where Sheber is.
Well, it was Krybeck, not Krybeck. Johnson's had it. And then there was Krause's after Johnson's, but before Johnson's was Von Arx. His grandfather.
My grandfather's
Yeah,
first house there, but
you sure?
That's,
Wasn't there a Gleason in there?
I don't remember any Gleasons.
Okay, any other
All right, sorry.
questions? If not, we'll.
Dan, I have a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yep.
Within the 3.79 lot, now how close to the lot line will your house be within that 3.79 acres?
In which direction?
Well, on the map down
So it'll be south.
south. Okay.
It's fairly close.
Now, do we need to have a setback on that?
well, we will. What we're doing here tonight is we're giving him permission to submit an application, a zoning application,
Right.
on less than 40 acres. When we go through that process with him,
Okay,
he will have to meet all the performance measures. Or, as I said, we're currently looking with his lawyer on some aspects of whether indeed it's even necessary for him to, whether we can count both these properties together. If that's the case, then there wouldn't be any setback applied. But we would have to reach that conclusion, or we would have to meet the setback, or we would have to pursue a variance.
okay.
See, the property next to him is the trust property.
Well, that's my
Right,
question.
and we're looking to, with the lawyer, and I'm calling him tomorrow, to execute, I guess we're talking about the trust, where all of us kids and my dad, we're all co-owners on the whole property, except for my little parcel.
But my question is, and I think you answered, is whether we needed to maintain a setback.
Yeah, just like we did with an applicant last month, where
Right.
he's getting permission to apply, and we worked out the details. Last month, we worked out details afterwards with the township concerning the drainage down in
Okay.
Yucatan. It'd be the same process here, where
Yep.
he'd have to work with the zoning office to meet the standards in one way or the other before he could
Okay.
proceed, but he would have his approval to be at less than 40 from the planning commission.
Good question. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Will you read the findings, Aaron? Excuse me, one thing. Anybody else here have any comments on this application? Okay, would you read the findings?
All right, the planning commission shall not recommend the conditional use permit unless they find the following. That the proposed use conforms to the county land use plan. Staff analysis is that the land use plan calls for limiting non-farm dwellings to 1 per quarter section, and this achieves that. That the applicant demonstrates the need for the proposed purpose. The applicant split the parcel from the adjacent land under trust that he's a beneficiary of, and thus he created the need for the conditional use permit. And I'll only read the conditions that are applicable in this case. That the soil conditions are adequate to accommodate the proposed use. The soils are suitable. It's a class 4 soil along the edge of a field extending into a grassway. That adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or are being provided. private well and septic will be necessary. The applicant has already submitted a septic design and that has apparently already been approved. Access is via Bush Valley Road. The township has approved the point of access. A soil erosion control plan addressing drainage has been submitted and approved. That the conditional use will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. The proposed use is consistent with dwellings present on nearby properties and will have no anticipated impact upon them. That the establishment of the conditional use will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding vacant property for predominant uses in the area. The proposal is consistent with land uses already occurring. The density of any proposed residential development is not greater than the density of the surrounding neighborhood or not greater than the density indicated by the applicable zoning district. This house is consistent and in line with the density requirement for this district. That the intensity of any proposed, I believe that is all the applicable conditions.
Okay, any questions on the conditions, criteria?
That one recommended condition, and it should be familiar to all of you, that the permit holder shall comply with all applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations.
Okay, if there's no questions on the criteria, if everyone's satisfied with them,
Only question,
yep, go ahead.
do we know that the septic plan is approved?
Yes.
It is? Okay.
Any other questions? I entertain a motion, one way or another, on this.
Move to approve.
Second.
Good. Double seconded. Okay, any other discussion? Give Jim. Any other discussion on the motion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, that'll go to the county board. When, Holly? When's that go to the county board? October 11th. You don't necessarily have to be there, but the board, well, that's when the final approval is granted.
Okay, great. And then how do I get notified?
I'll give you a call in a
Right.
couple days and we'll discuss the
Okay,
process
very
moving
good.
forward.
I'll try to be there, but,
It's not even necessary that you
okay,
go there. You're welcome to though if you want to.
okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yep, thank you very much.
Have a
Yep.
great night.
Thank you. Okay, has everybody had a chance to look at the zoning permits? Any questions on the zoning permits?
Dana asked about the solar panels. We're getting more applications for freestanding solar panels. These are not for commercial use, it's for on-site electrical use. We are permitting them in the same way that we permit any structure that's mounted to the ground. There'll be a variance application for one being heard next month. I'm thinking of recommending a change to a procedure whereby you could waive a setback requirement for something like that in the same way you could waive setback requirements for, say, mineral extraction, just with permission from the adjacent landowner, but that's a discussion we'll have. But the provider of these has indicated that he has a very favorable price on these units, and he's selling the same system to multiple people in the county to expect more. Just an
And that's for
FYI.
private use only, or is excess energy generated by the solar panels put back into the system? Are they paid for?
I believe this is beyond my, I think that
I think
they're designed for,
They're all set up that way. They
Yeah.
all have net metering.
Goes back in the grid?
Yeah, if they have enough.
I believe they're designed though to produce electricity in line with what the site consumes. But it does go.
Would it be
It's got a
different?
reverse meter, Tri-County gives them a reverse meter that will run
It's kind
backwards.
of, you get subsidies and stuff to do it, so. Would it be different if it was a kind of a larger setup? I mean, does that make a difference?
We have specific language for larger setups in the
Oh, you do?
ordinance. I haven't done one yet, so I'm not familiar with it.
Okay.
We have also been permitting rooftop systems without permits, and that they're going on existing permitted buildings. The only ones that we are requiring permits for are the freestanding systems.
And if they're near a property line, they have to meet the setbacks.
That's the approach we've been taking thus
Yeah.
far, yeah.
I got an unusual question. I don't know if it's appropriate here. It's more for me as La Crescent zoning. Can you bury a person on a farm?
Oh, we could have a conversation about that. I have received that question since my tenure here, but we might do that offline.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, any other questions on these zoning permits? If not, entertain motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the zoning permits as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Ed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, the minutes. Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last week?
Not having been at this meeting, I don't think I'll vote on these.
Okay, all right. If there's no questions on the minutes, I'd entertain a motion
I'll
on
make
vote.
a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second,
Second.
seconded. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Any other business?
Got a other business item. I want to pass it down. This is a clarification on how one might go about pursuing permission to have an access road in excess of 12%. The first page is a page that I put together. It just has a couple sections of the ordinance that touch on this. And then additionally, there's some materials here that the specific applicant, they've yet to, they have applied once, their application was denied. They are looking for, to correct the reasons why it was denied. So they put together this information, but they haven't formally applied yet. They may be, some sort of application might take place in the near future, depending on how we view this tonight. So there's a section within the soil erosion control section of the ordinance that talks about driveways exceeding 12%. It's that second paragraph there. That's a direct quote there. Land development activities on type 4 slopes, slopes of 25% or greater shall be limited to access roads for residential and non-residential developments and shall require a site-specific erosion control plan. Final access roads shall be no greater than 12% slope unless the design is approved by the county planning commission, in which case the road grade shall not exceed 14% slope. So that's the first part of the ordinance where this is addressed. And the second paragraph, or I guess it would be the third paragraph, fourth paragraph here, but one starts with subdivision 3, design standards. That's just the general language that applies to access roads in the section 29, that's the general zoning requirements. And here we have item 2, gradient, driving surface gradient shall not exceed 12%. So these two things are, normally, I guess if I didn't have that first paragraph there, I would think that if someone wanted to go over 12%, they would make an application to the Board of Adjustment for a variance of this requirement. Because I have this paragraph here, I think perhaps the Planning Commission is intended to weigh in on here. My question to you is there, below number 1 in the discussion items, does that first section, does that only apply to sites where the access roads are to be constructed on slopes in excess of 24%? Or is that applicable anytime somebody wants to exceed 12%?
No, we're just talking an access road during construction, is that what we're talking?
No, this would be
This would be the driveway.
driveway. Yeah, to access, not a residence though, in this case, we're talking, well, if you flip through your packet, there may be pictures of the site, and there are pictures of the site and location. So right here, you're seeing on the first page with the picture, you're seeing a picture of the driveway. The lower portion, half of this driveway is right around just over 12%. I've got it kind of broken into thirds. I was out there with soil and water shooting these when they previously applied. We had a 13.5% slope on the lower third of the driveway, a 15% slope in the middle of the driveway, and a 14% slope at the upper end of the driveway. But it's a driveway that's, it already exists. It's not going to be used it's not going to be changed if they were granted a permit to build. So they'd like to not change it, I guess is the way I say it.
So the road exists, they're trying to get it approved, is it kind of this road?
Yeah, there's a history of this site. They purchased this site with the road already in place. The prior owner of the road had the site evaluated for potential building and did reach a favorable outcome, although I don't believe they were trying to build the same type of structure that we're dealing with in this case. There's also been substantial earth movements occurring by the prior owner again, to create a suitable site on which to build a building. My thought is that if it is a appropriate place to build a building, we would have to look at a soil erosion control plan, and a lot of that soil erosion abatement work would need to be done before construction, because if we went through the proper channels, and again, it's not the current owners, it's the prior owners, but they would have needed a permit to do that kind of earth moving up there, and it would have called for it to be done in a certain way. The current owners are willing to work with soil and water to implement the plan that they would put together for them, but they're hoping to leave the access road at the current slopes.
So what's the long-range plan for the property? You guys gonna speak to it? Kevin? Yeah, why don't you come up? You wanna just discuss this, or this is not really a public hearing?
It's not a hearing, so I'm bringing it up under other business to get some guidance, but I think if the board feels it's appropriate and they're here, I mean, why not?
So what's the long-term plan?
Just agricultural shed,
Storage?
yeah, storage for lawnmower, four-wheeler.
How many acres are there?
There's a 2.
2 acres. So what's up there now?
This,
Is it cemented out and stuff?
no,
No,
no, it's just garage up there.
it's garage up there.
The previous owner put a big culvert in the bottom, a road up through, level off a spot up above, and had their camper up there. Well, Tim and his wife bought the site. They both have businesses in town.
Yeah.
And bought it for a place to go and relax. They put their camper up there. And like I said, they both have businesses here. His wife, right now, she's in another meeting trying to sell a house. But
Yeah.
she's a realtor. And it's a place to go to relieve their stress. And they bought it last spring, and they've been fixing up a little bit. They found out that they thought the road was maybe a little steep and leaning the wrong ways. Well, they widened the road. They concreted a ditch from the bottom all the way to the top. Rip-wrapped the culvert at the bottom. Cemented the whole thing. And they got their camper up there. She's been handling it, Tim hasn't, but they want a place to put the camper in the winter, and for the kids to go in, and
So
The weather's
there's
bad.
no well or anything up there?
no well.
No well, no sewer, no running
But
water?
they plan on putting a holding tank there. Couple of 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 gallon holding tank, and maybe putting a bathroom with
Bathroom in what? In the shed?
in that shed, just so they don't have to go into the camper all the time. And I think they were talking that was, what they had found out about it, that was okay.
That's correct, you can put in an ag building, the ordinance allows a maximum of an 80 square foot bathroom in an ag building.
But there would, for the holding tank, there'd be a contract with a pumper to keep the records.
Right,
And
right.
this would be pumped out every so
Yeah.
often. But if you're only up there
Right.
for a weekend or
Yeah,
with
I
your
know.
camper, it's instead of going in the camper.
Pulling it back.
It might be
With the
once a year,
kids.
it might be every 2 years.
Do you have electricity up there?
So what's,
But the road is, I think that he submitted some pictures and stuff after
Yeah.
this 20-some inches of rain.
We never touched it. I mean, it
The
stayed.
road is perfect. And you don't see many roads that stayed perfect
No.
after the
Yeah.
rains that we got.
So what's the slopes up there now? There's some issues now with the,
Yeah, if you go to the rear of your packet, it's got the photos of base of the road, and then I think there's the last page of your packet is kind of a scribbled on site map that I put together when I was on the site with soil and water. So that kind of shows that lower portion there is at about 13.5. The steepest portion is in the middle, the 15, and then 14 at the top. Up top there, the building that they've, or assuming it's the same location as your prior application, it's on the that larger
Yep.
circled area on the left side, and that's a flat, approximate flat up top. So it's really just getting up to that point which is the challenge.
so where was the prior excavation done? All up on top? Is that why it's flat?
Right, yes.
It is flat
without it
because of
being-
prior-
If you look here at this map, this is prior to, this is a 2014 photo, I think. So right around here is the area that's been flattened off and where the proposed shed would go without,
There were no permits to flatten that off or anything at the time? Huh?
no, that's the one there. So it was a 21% slope, so that's not in excess of, it's not 24, it wouldn't have been off limits.
It would not have been off limits?
Well, it wouldn't have been off limits for building, but it is within, it's over 18, so it's steep slopes.
Yeah.
You need a permit for 10 yards or more in steep slopes. That didn't occur. And again, it wasn't this owner, it was a prior owner. And I believe that occurred roughly when the transition in the zoning office, or shortly before, was occurring, so it didn't get perhaps the attention that it normally would have. I know that the access road I was put in without the appropriate permits initially too, and then they got the appropriate approvals from the highway division.
From the highway department?
Right,
Highway department?
Well, that approach.
it's a county road.
County
Oh, I see, for the,
But you made the repairs on the road after you got it.
He was told that it would be better if it was, but I've done for the last 40 years, a ton of work for the county with all the floods, rebuilding all the roads, the ditches, everything. And we sloped it all to the inside so you won't get the runoff over the hill. Cemented a
Yeah, see,
5-6 foot area from the bottom, top of the hill all the way to the bottom, widen it out, and
looks like-
made it pretty darn nice.
So up on top where the dirt has been moved by the previous owner, there are slopes now though that are in excess of,
Well, if we were permitting soil land alteration like that, the final slopes, I believe, are required to be a maximum of 2 to 1. So that's where we would work with, before issuing any permit, we would be working with you and soil and water to get those slopes to where they would have been required to be should the permit have been sought when they did that.
It's a big area that's leveled off.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be a big deal to cut the fill that was put in there back to the 2 to 1 slope. But it's, I don't know what it is now, 100 by 300 or something like that.
The area that's leveled off.
Yeah.
how deep did it come off the top of the hill? Did they dig it down?
I don't think it was taken off the top by,
I mean, it was leveled out, it had obviously.
it's not on top of the hill.
Oh,
It's not on top. It was a plateau, probably 40, 50 feet from, 60 feet from the top. And this is on the plateau. They more or less leveled the plateau off.
okay.
The flat
Now, the flat part is
here's the
mostly,
top of it.
yeah.
It still goes gradually up here, I presume, but their excavation occurred right around I guess what I'm looking here for the board tonight is that, do you think the language here where it talks about the planning commission approving these things is the correct procedure, or ought this go to the board of adjustment for consideration for a variance?
Says plan.
So you're talking about a variance for the slope of the driveway?
Right, I am, but, and I question that though, because it says that that's applicable, you know, if you look at this section, it's within the type 4 slope section, we're not in a type 4 slope section here, we're in a type 3 slope section. Now, that might just be bad design within the ordinance perhaps, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that that would be the way you would proceed it if you were over 25%, but you wouldn't if you were under. But then again, typically, if you're looking to relax a performance measure, you're not going to the planning commission, you're going to the board of adjustment.
But the slope of the road exceeds 14%.
Correct.
Yeah,
So I don't know if that's something that's subject to variance either. I had conversations with my predecessor and the director. They recall one application for a variance and a slope being submitted previously and it being turned down. So there's not really a lot of precedent here. That went to the board of adjustment.
Was that for a house or a building?
I believe that was for a house.
Okay, and you have no intention of building a house up there?
And like I said, it slopes, but it was all sloped in. Nothing's gonna run down the road because we sloped it all into to the upper ditch and cemented the whole ditch all the way from the top to the bottom. So there is no washing.
I think a lot of that though, the maximum slope requirement, I think has a lot to do with access for emergency vehicles. You know, like an ambulance or a fire truck or something like that, as much, I mean, not that it doesn't take into account.
But the road, the thing is, the road is there. You know, it was there when he built it. He had no idea that there's anything wrong with it, but he approved the whole thing, so it's,
How wide is that road, you know, how wide it is?
No,
it's 14, 16 feet.
16, yeah. 16.
It looks like the planning commission can approve it up to 14%.
Yeah.
Other than that, you gotta go to the board of
board of
adjustment.
adjustment. That's my assumption.
That's type 4.
That's where, yeah.
Type 3, it does not say that. Subdivision 3, type 3 slope. That's type 3 property or type 3 slope.
So I shot all these slopes here across the property. This is all prior to disturbance. I've got slopes, you know, it's hard to see, it gets a little fuzzy, but if you look on the left column there, we got a 15.2%, 21, 17.5, 20.3, and 23.8. So we're not finding ourselves in that type 4 category. Otherwise, I said it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that the planning commission would only weigh in the event that it's type 4 and not type 3.
So what you're saying, you think there needs to be, that has to go, it should go to the board of adjustment, is that what you're saying?
He's questioning the soil type.
Oh.
If it's just specific to that soil type, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that it would be
Because-
only,
The hill can have probably all 4 types of soil in it in certain spots.
yeah, that, and I guess why would we rely on the planning commission's judgment at 25% but not at 23%?
Yeah, 25 is a lot more than what you got here. You went up to 15, but 20, it says here we've got discretion up to 25.
Well, that's,
On type 4.
when we're describing those slopes, so that's before the construction. So if you look at the slopes I shot here on the screen, before the road was put in, we're ranging from 15 up to 23.
Okay.
This is not bluffland, right?
Read 110.2502 slopes. It says development on slopes may not proceed until an erosion control plan has been prepared and applicable permits have been issued. Plans must meet all requirements specified by the planning and zoning department. subdivision 1, type 1 slope. It's not type 1 soil, it's type 1
Yeah.
slope.
What's,
It's not
what are
talking
the
soils.
slope types? I didn't know there was.
Yeah,
Type 1 is 12.
Yeah.
Oh,
Type
okay.
2 is 13 to 19, type 3 is 20 to 24, and type 4 is 25% or greater. It's by planning commission. It's not by the Board of Adjustment. And this is a type 3 slope that we're talking about?
Type 3, I believe, yes.
So it's not soil type, it's slope type.
It's slope
type.
Oh, okay, I
Yes.
get it, yeah.
Development on slopes with an average grade between 20 and 24% shall require a type 3 slopes site-specific erosion control plan. It doesn't say that, in that section, it doesn't say that you can go to 14%. Only type 4 slopes, which are greater than 25%, that authorize more than 14%, or up to 14%.
Sure, and then if you were to look at page,
147.
yes. That's the other controlling language. So if we didn't have that earlier language you just went through, and it's just the 147, we would be at the Board of Adjustment.
Right.
Well, would it make sense to do a site, specific erosion control plan? You've already got the work done, but just maybe, you know,
Yes, I think that that's required just
kind of
to,
backwards away, but you've got to already have it done.
You
You already have the work done. I mean, you got that cement
Yeah, it's,
runway,
yeah, the runway and everything is there.
so.
But, like I said, he was just doing this, so it'd be nice for his family and stuff to go up, that's why he went, or, you know.
Yep.
Put the stuff in, it was, hadn't planned on putting a shed or nothing up there for 2 or 3 years. But it's just a nice place to, I was in business too for 40 years, same type of business, well, in fact, he bought mine, but you need a place just to get away, you can't be too far from town, his wife can, sells real estate.
Sure.
It's just nice to get out for a day or two with the kids and have a place to be. And they didn't plan on putting a shed up for a couple of years, to put things in, but they really like it.
Sure. No, I
If he says, I really like it,
I can understand why you do it.
so I guess the options as I see them would be, you could, I don't think any sort of motion is needed here, but I'm looking just for some guidance that, is this an area where the planning commission would feel comfortable just instructing the zoning office to issue permits without hearings? Or if not, option B would be instruct the applicants to apply to the Board of Adjustment and have them formally.
Well, the way this reads is that if they submit an erosion control plan to the planning commission, that it can be approved through this body, I think.
Well, but to Bob's point that,
Type 4 slope, that it
Yeah.
would be us,
That's it, okay,
but this is type 3,
all right.
from what you said.
right, and that, now I think that there's probably some flexibility in there that we could put together a, a policy that we treat them all the way, and that doesn't make a lot of sense, that it's limited to type
I
4.
understand that, but all I'm saying is that's the way it reads. Only type 4 is subject to planning. Type 3, we're still stuck at the 12%. To go above that, it would be the adjustment. Right?
That's the initial way that
That's the way it
we
reads.
conceptualize this, but I comment at second language, and that's why we're here talking about this now, is
Are you reading subdivision 3, Bob, that type 3 soil, is that what you're reading?
Right.
Type 3 slope?
Type 3, subdivision 3.
That just says it needs a site-specific erosion control plan also.
Right. It needs a site-specific erosion control plan, doesn't give any authorization to exceed the 12%. Type 4 is the only one that gives us the authorization to exceed 12%.
You'd agree that makes no sense,
It
right?
makes no sense, but it's the way, all I'm saying is it's the way it reads,
Yep.
it makes no sense.
But the way it's written right now, then it should go to the Board of Adjustment, not here. Is that what you're saying?
that's, if you wanna take it to the strict reading of this, then that, yes, it should go to the Board of Adjustment, not here.
Just regarding the slope of the driveway.
The only way that it would be here is if it's land that's before it's disturbed, is in excess of 25% or greater. That's not the case here with the general plan, between 15 and 23%. So according to the ordinance as it's written now, there's no guidance, and if there's no guidance on a setback or on a performance measure reduction, that's a variance situation, I would think.
Well, somebody else made the driveway.
Yeah.
You're just putting rock on it or whatever.
There was some rock and stuff on it,
Yeah.
he just took it from sloping the
So
wrong
why
way.
are we even talking about it? They didn't make it, they're not gonna change it.
No, but they're, want a building permit.
Yeah, they want a building permit, we can't have a situation where, I mean, the prior owner who created the driveway
Yeah.
was pursuing
So-
a permit and was turned down. So you can't have a situation where I own land, I do things that violate the ordinance, then I sell it to you and absolve of all responsibility to adhere to the rules. That's an easy workaround you're creating.
Oh.
I can show you 8, 10 houses that we built within the last 10 years on abandoned farms that have driveways going up them like this here. And those driveways were there before
For
the
zoning.
buildings, there was no buildings up there. And I mean, they are steep. You're laughing because you know it's true. And there were never any permits because the driveways are already there. They didn't have to go through anything.
What, did they have 40 acres?
I have no idea, but
Yeah.
that 40 acres has nothing to do with the steepness of a driveway.
You mean they were there a long time, or
Uh,
the roads were there a long time, or were they just recently put in?
Well, some were both,
Okay.
but I'm just saying,
If the driveway was there, maybe prior to zoning, it could be there. But they shouldn't be any driveways in there if they did if they did it correctly to get permitted. There shouldn't be any driveways like that.
If you had a lot of record, I don't believe you would be bound by the driveway slope limiter. If you have a lot of record, it's only setbacks that you're bound by,
Yeah.
but other things don't kick in.
What you're driving at is if somebody bought this parcel of land, dug in a driveway, didn't care what the slope was, sold it to Tim. Now he says, I wanna build a house or build a building up there. The driveway would still come into consideration.
It would, yes, because I
Just
guess,
because, the guy that built it in order to sell it should have built it with the right grade.
yeah.
if the site wasn't leveled and there wasn't a driveway in there, he'd have never bought this
Right.
3 acres.
Right.
Or 4 acres or whatever it is.
But what you're saying is you build houses that have real steep driveways. If somebody had that land, put in that steep driveway and then turned around and sold it to
Right.
the landowner and says, now you can build a house, I put in the driveway and the slope doesn't matter. Technically, that's not correct.
See, in the
Yeah, this-
That might have been what was done, but it's
I
not
know.
correct.
See, we gotta be careful with this, because if somebody has property that can't get, not really a building site or can't do it, but he goes ahead and does it anyway and makes a driveway, then he can sell it, and then we give you permission to go ahead, then it's getting around the ordinance, that's what it is.
Now, I'm not saying that the previous owner shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Did what Tim did.
Yeah.
Goes, you ask what should be done and.
Yeah.
And everything, at least he's asking
Yeah.
where.
Yeah.
And
So what we're discussing is, does he need to get a variance after the fact?
Is it through us or is it through
Right,
Board of Adjustment?
I feel more comfortable taking it to the Board of Adjustments and maybe putting it on the fixed list the next time we go through a amendment process here. We could clarify the correct procedure and make that
Make it
make some
consistent.
sense.
And you'll probably have to do that soil erosion plan.
well, we planned on that. We were
Okay.
doing that a few days ago and they said, well, maybe. They called us back up and said, maybe we can bypass that by going to you folks so you don't have to spend the $500 for the other board. But we took 2 of the board members out there and they thought the road was excellent.
I've seen the road, there's nothing wrong with the road, I've seen the concrete flew away along the edge and whatnot, it's fine. It's just these percentages that we're talking about, and the formality as far as what the ordinance is.
Right. I guess because I'm not picking up an overwhelming support for instructing me to issue them a permit without this, I would
Well,
Defer an
the
ended
trouble
work
is,
adjustment.
the trouble is word can kind of get around and pretty soon everybody kind of notices what happened here and then they wonder why they have to do
Yep.
something else.
Right.
You know, that's a problem there.
I think any slopes that are not 2-to-1, of course, you have to work with those to get those back to where they should be. Obviously.
Well, anyone that would create.
Yeah, they would create it, yeah, by the leveling off. But that'd be part of the erosion control plan.
But I'm of the opinion it's the Board of Adjustment, not the Planning and Zoning,
That's what I would say.
until we change the verbiage like you're talking.
I don't think this requires a vote, this isn't a public
Yep.
hearing now, so
Okay.
it's just another business discussion, but it sounds like I'll work with you and Kelly, the application for the board adjustment. If we move quickly, like tomorrow or Monday, we might be able to do it next month. Okay.
Any other business? Not?
Move to adjourn.
Seconded?
Second.
Second by Larry, meeting adjourned.